I want to talk about focusing on building a quality physique. And what I mean by quality, not getting hung up on how much you weigh or how much you end up weighing with a quality physique. What do I mean by quality physique? So when I started training almost 3 years ago, I weighed 171 pounds and I looked terrible. Low lean mass and a lot of body fat. 171 pounds is not a lot of weight, especially at my height. I'm 6 feet tall, okay? So that's a healthy weight for someone my height, but that doesn't take into account your genetics, your bone structure, or anything like that. That's just taking your height into account. And when I started, I was like, man, I want to be 175 pounds, jacked, lean, ripped. You know what I mean? Like I was hung up on that number. I thought I needed to weigh that much to have a real quality physique. And what I have found is that's completely false. So I'm probably pretty close to getting everything that I'm gonna get hypertrophy wise at 43 years old with 3 years of proper training. I might have a little bit more to gain, but not much. And what I weigh shouldn't really bother me, because am I satisfied with how I look? Do I have a quality physique? In my opinion, yes. So in the morning when I wake up, at this point right now, I weigh about 151 pounds and I'm 6 feet tall, okay? I could get a complex about that or worry about people calling me skinny or you don't even look like you train, which is bullshit, because I do look like I train and I do train and I train hard and I train right. And I'm very satisfied with the results that I've gotten from high intensity training, proper resistance exercise. If I would have known that I was only gonna weigh, fully hydrated, waking up right now, walking around 151 pounds when I wake up, I weigh about 155, fully hydrated, and at 9% body fat. And in my opinion, I look really good. I really admire and have always admired the Bruce Lee aesthetic, because, and I think a lot of people that admire Bruce Lee's physique do so for a reason that's subconscious that they may not even be hitting on, and that's Bruce Lee's physique. He didn't have a ton of lean mass. Bruce Lee didn't have a lot of weight. Bruce Lee, at very low body fat, sub 10%, which he probably was almost all the time. At his most ripped, I don't know, maybe like 6, weighed like 126 to 130 pounds at 5'7", I think he was. And he looked phenomenal. Bruce Lee had a quality physique, because it's not about how much you weigh, it's about what that weight is comprised of. What is it composed of? And whatever is in the cards for you genetically, as far as how many pounds of lean mass you can pack onto your frame naturally, if you can sculpt that, and I think this is what Bruce started to realize throughout his lifetime and his training career, when he started shaving exercises off of his routine and training briefer, and he still trained way too frequently, but he was starting to understand, and I think he would have ultimately arrived at a far less frequent ideal workout schedule. But he, I think, realized at some point, and I don't know if he took drugs at any point in his life to achieve the physique that he had. He may have, but what people really, I think, admire about him is he had an achievable level of muscularity as far as how much mass he had on his frame for somebody that's natural, that is not at the far right of the bell curve, that responds as a hyper responder to training. But where his quality came from was how sharp his physique was. And that's what I think he realized. He hit a ceiling as far as how much weight he was gonna put on, how much mass he was gonna put on. And his interest kind of gravitated, if you look at his life throughout his later years, it became more about sculpting what he had and making it pop and making it sharp, i.e. getting to lower levels of body fat and maintaining that, so that what he was able to build looked even more impressive. And that's kind of what I focus on too. You're only gonna get so big, okay? And some people are gonna get much bigger than others. And those that aren't able to get as big as others, you can wind up developing a complex and spinning your wheels and thinking that you're doing something wrong because you haven't been able to achieve some sort of body weight that you had in mind that would be ideal for you. You don't know what's ideal for you. And I like what I heard Doug McGuff say one time about you can only achieve the best expression of your genome, your personal genome. You are capable of fulfilling that. What you end up weighing as the best expression of that genome, it varies, you know? I mean, there's some guys that can really, I was watching the fights this weekend on Netflix, and you know, there was a light heavy, was a super middleweight, Christian Mbili, I think his name is, Cameroonian guy, just a tank, an absolute beast of a man, dude. Tons of lean mass, and there's people like that, you know, Francis Ngannou, there's a lot of people like that, but they're rare. They're rare. These are not people that you're ever going to look like. They're so far right on the bell curve that you shouldn't even really be focusing on that. You should be focused on you as a person and what your potential might be. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you're a shorter guy and you end up weighing 130 pounds or 135, who fucking cares, man? How do you look? Have you built a quality physique? You know, I have 130, like about 135, 136 pounds of lean mass on my frame. And to me, it looks good. I'm sculpting it. I'm being very methodical about my calorie intake and understanding that the more I eat doesn't equal the more muscle I'm gonna gain. It doesn't necessarily mean that. You need to eat the right amount, and the right amount is not more. And in my opinion, building a quality physique, here's what you should focus on. Always be mindful, the science supports a surplus calorie intake provides a more suitable environment for hypertrophy. This is a fact. This can't be argued. The science proves it. Your body is primed to build muscle more easily when there is a calorie surplus present. Period. The hormonal environment needs to be good. So if you're older, TRT may be a smart move to make sure, because what you're trying to do, it's not up to you how much you're gonna put on. All you can do is provide the best environment for whatever is in the cards for you to happen. So it's like swimming across a pool. You could do it with a center block tied around your ankle and you might get to the other side. Does that make it a better way than swimming without it? No, it doesn't. While it might be possible, let's just recognize the smartest way to go about things. With that in mind, how much body fat are you willing to put on? What's acceptable to you? So for myself, what I had deemed as acceptable was 12%. So I do not allow myself to get over 12% body fat. The focus is always the same as far as the training goes. Always trying to get stronger every single time you exercise. That's always the goal, no matter what you're doing with your calories, whether you're in a deficit, perceived maintenance, or in a surplus. The goal is always the same. The workout routine is always the same. The program is always the same. You can modify it if you choose, but the principles remain the same. I like to keep it the same for standardization. I've moved back the whole body away from the ideal routine. I couldn't justify doing the ideal routine. There's no reason for me to split it up. So I'm back on whole body. And then when you hit the limit of what you've deemed as acceptable body fat accumulation, it's simple. You just go back the other way. Dial the calories back. So this last time that I was trying to shed some body fat, I hit 12%. I was eating about 3,200 calories a day. I dialed it back to 2,350, about 2,350. That way you're only ever 6 to 10 weeks away from being sub 10% body fat. There's really no benefit to getting fatter than that because it's just gonna take you longer to get it off. And I mean, while dieting is not that hard when you know how to do it and eat right, it's a lot more fun, obviously, and enjoyable to eat more. So the periods in a calorie deficit remain briefer, and then the periods of a higher calorie intake end up being longer, and that's the way that it should be. But you always have those guardrails in place. Set a limit. I'm not gonna allow myself to get over this, and make sure that you don't increase your calories too fast so that you gravitate towards that upper threshold of body fat percentage that you've set to where you're hitting it in a matter of 8 weeks, 12 weeks from setting your calories there, because then you've eaten too much too quickly. You should be able to stay in a hypocaloric state for longer than that. So the surplus needs to be more precise, not as excessive. And understand that you are gonna gain a little bit of body fat, but you should be methodical about it, and it should take a longer period of time to hit that threshold. That way, because it takes a long time to build lean tissue, so you need longer time spans in a hypocaloric state. Eating too large of a surplus, only allowing you to be in a surplus for a short span of time, is not ideal. And you're just gonna end up having to go backwards more frequently. So that's how to do it. That should be the focus in building a quality physique naturally. That's all I got today.